The inauguration of Donald Trump as the 45th President of the United States marked the commencement of the term of Donald Trump. The public ceremony was held on Friday, January 20th, 2017. An estimated 300,000 to 600,000 people attended the public ceremony. Laying his hand upon the Bible, he swore the oath of office. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help me God. Now, outside the ceremony were many protests. Many people claimed this was not a president, but a dictator, a tyrant, a despot. I think we all knew left-wingers like that, and then maybe some of you were. But let me ask you, on that day, what did they think this tyrant was going to do? Or what did you think he was going to do? Was he going to round people up? Were there going to be mass incarcerations? Was he going to shred the Constitution rather than preserve it? What is it, do you think, or do these people think, he was going to do that was going to be so awful, that was so tyrannical? Specifically, what actions? What actions was it? What was he specifically going to do, other than maybe hurt people's feelings? And I think that's very interesting, taking away of people's rights. I think shredding the Constitution, because if he upholds the Constitution, he is a president. If he shreds the Constitution, well, yes, then he would be a dictator. So I stopped by the president's Twitter the other day, and still no indication of dictatorship. Just the usual big rallies, entertaining tweets, all around making America great. And I thought, I wonder how the loser is doing. So I went to Hillary Clinton, looked at her 25.6 million followers, and I was reading through some of her tweets. It's the usual Democratic talking points, feel good nonsense. And then I came to this terrifying statement right here on October 4th. And it's a quote from Representative Barbara Jordan in 1974 during the Nixon impeachment. And keep in mind when you hear this, nothing that Ms. Clinton says isn't means tested, isn't run through a focus group, isn't something that's vetted north to south, east to west. She doesn't say anything spontaneously. So she has this quote. This is her tweet. If the impeachment provision in the Constitution of the United States will not reach the offenses charged here, then perhaps that 18th century Constitution should be abandoned to a 20th century paper shredder. Many people think that being a progressive means being in favor of healthcare, making healthcare available for everyone, full employment for everyone, living wages, free child care, breaking that glass ceiling. But of course, there's something more sinister here at work. Because you see, this isn't the first time I've heard of the Constitution referred to as an 18th century anachronism. I remember back in the early 2000s when comedian Jon Stewart was at the height of his career, and he was debating the Second Amendment with a guest. And his argument was, what the founders intended was not for citizens to be armed, but rather a state-run militia. And that militia wasn't intended to be outfitted with modern arms. When they wrote that Constitution, they were talking about the musket, the Brown Bessie. The Second Amendment, in his mind, was an antiquated document that just meant, yeah, you can own a musket if you want. There's no concern about, say, government tyranny, even though these people just fought to escape life under a king. It's this progressive interpretation. It is not, as the oath of office of the president is, to preserve the Constitution. But I think, you look at this and you go, one of the presidential candidates, one that got millions and millions and millions of votes, she was this close, just suggested that the Constitution be shredded. There was not one news article about it. Well, other than InfoWars. And I thought, imagine if Donald Trump had said this. What if Donald Trump, even if just through innuendo, had suggested that we should throw away the Constitution? People would go nuts. They would say, I told you, he was a dictator. He was a tyrant. But of course, when Hillary says it, nobody covers it. Now, do I really think she was telling her followers, the common men, we should shred the Constitution? It's time to move past that old document. It's time to move past freedom. And I think, no, she doesn't think about you, and she doesn't care about you. I think this was a message. And of course, we'll never know. We only see what happens on the surface. It could be 40 or 50 years before this whole collusion hysteria is fully unraveled. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll be faster. I hope so. But what she's doing is she's showing the resistance, the Obama appointees in the intelligence agencies, the people that are putting out these false narratives, the people that are now running a second round of impeachment attempts based on fake news. She's showing all of these people, look at the power that we have. I can tweet in front of 25 million people, we should shred the Constitution, and nobody so much as bats an eye. She's saying we control the media. We control the entertainers. We control Hollywood. We control academia. I can literally say we should do away with the Constitution. And what comes in its place? When there's no right to bear arms and there's no right to free speech, then you do have a dictatorship. Then you do have an aristocracy. You have a new neo-feudal society, a new world order, government by an unelected minority who can say and do whatever they want. It's 1984. If something's inconvenient, what she's showing them is, watch this get memory hold real time. Don't be afraid to try and get the president impeached with fake news, because if it fails, it will just go right down that memory hole. Nothing is too extreme. We can say anything. We can do anything. And they believe they have that level of power. And I just wanted to make this video because I thought this was such an extraordinary statement. It was so, it's been out in the open for a long time, but now they just come right out and say it. And what they're saying to you is, you can't do anything about it. You're powerless. But of course, we have a chance to once again in 2020 say, no, we're not.